Morning.
Thank you. So yesterday, we were
I'm
on,
fine,
what is that over here? Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
We were on
Saudi Basin.
Saudi Basin.
We didn't get too far, we didn't hold out yesterday. So we started more or less on the top. The city starts more or less on the top. The subject was for Yevamos was shook. If Kedusha is still first. The regular call is that Chai B'Lavin is not focused over even Rabbanan, which is more that's mentioned earlier. And according to Rabbanan, Kedusha is still first for Chai B'Lavin. And the focus of the Kiva holds Kedusha is not focused for Chai B'Lavin, and Rabbanan holds that it is. And now, right on top of the page, says that Kedusha is not focused by Yevamos B'Shuk, even according to Rabbanan. Exception to the rule. Even though usually Chai B'Lavin, Kedusha does take effect, and this child is not a mamzer. But Yevamos is different. Yevamos was shook. Her husband died without children, and she's skukah to the Yavam, and instead she married out. It's back to Kedusha take effect. I we say that it does. Rav said that it doesn't, but he got a pasuk will see and even though the first shot is that she may not marry out, the Drash is saying that it doesn't happen. We'll see here. It cannot take effect if she marries out. And Shmuel says it's not sure. Shmuel said that he's saying the script of death, she doesn't know it's a suffering, and either you can learn that it's Losa say do not marry out, or it means that it doesn't take effect. So because he doesn't know, so she needs to get resuffered. That's as far as we got, and we're up to 3, 6, about 6, 7 lines from the top. All of them are worried about Rachel and Rabashi. And we did that also. Shmuel, passing like Shmuel, that is the suffering. Now that we pass like Shmuel, that is the suffering. We're not sure if the Kedusha is suffering or not. So what happened with Yevamos was shook. She shouldn't have married out. She's really scooped to the other, and she married out. So if I Yevamos Cohen, all this stuff is showing that what should we want? Point to Shmuel, she needs to get. She needs to get from the other, from the shook. And the one that she married, she needs to get from him because they usually is open. And usually she go back to the other. This woman again, she was a Yevama, she married out, and she should have that. So if we would say that she needs a get, so she'll get a get from this new husband, then she'll have to go back to the Yavam. But the problem is that the Yavam is a Kohen. So if she gets a get, she's not going to be able to go back to the Kohen. So now the Gemara says, according to Shmuel, what should we do? No, Yavam Kohen, Kohen is Rabbi Shalom. That anyway, the Yavam is not going to be able to marry her. If it would be a Kohen, he'd be in Yisrael. We tell the Shuk person, this outside who married her, we would tell him to give her a gift. Because maybe Kedusha is still this. And then go back and marry the Yavam. But since he's a Kohen, Yavam is a Kohen, he's not going to be able to marry her anyway. So we'll tell the Yavam, give her Chalitza, which anyway you have to because you can't marry her. Only way to marry her,
she can stay with the
outside. And then let her stay with the outside. But the Gemara says, it's good, he's going to gain. He came to see the Chote Mitzvah.
But what's his guru?
His guru is like schar. It's Aramaic for agar. Agar means reward. It's the translation of the word schar. He's gaining. He came to see the Chote Mitzvah. The sinner is going to gain. That means that really the other one should have gotten her. And he came in and he married her. So the outsider married her. And not because of that, the other one's going to lose her and he's going to get her. Can't be. So we don't allow the Yavam. We don't allow the outsider to marry her. Of course, she can't marry the Yavam because she does need Chalitza. She does need to get she's Rusha. So the Yavam will give Chalitza and she'll marry somebody else. But she can't marry the guy who messed everything up. Ella, so what did Rashi mean to say? Yevama Yisrael, no similar thing you get from people. If the Yevama is Yisrael, if her Yavam, her man, Yisrael not a Kohen, so then the outsider should give her a gift. Like you said, that maybe Kedusha is focused, not like Rav. Rav says Kedusha is not focused. So she goes back without any gift. But the point is Shmuel, she needs to get from the outsider, and then she goes back to the other. But only because he's Yisrael. Because if you're Kohen, which one they have to go back? Is that good?
So even if it's a Kohen, he's still interested.
Yes, but the Kohen won't be able to marry her, but he's also not going to take it. He'll give her a gift, but he can't.
He'll give her.
The suggestion was don't give a gift. Don't give a gift. You told the Cohen, Yavam.
Give her a lead second, so give her a lead second. Yeah, I know, but I thought we're rejecting that. We're rejecting that and saying, in any case, even with a Cohen, he should give a get. The outsider.
So the outsider gives a get, and the Cohen gives a chalitza, and then she goes marry somebody. She goes out to the shop and gets a new one. If he's Yisrael, Yom Yisrael, then he could take it back. Rashi points out that the Gemara is going to say that that's not so simple. It could be that the Yevama, that she went to the shop.
I'm sorry, who could get her back? If it's a Yisrael.
And the Yavam gets her back.
Oh, the Yavam, of course.
She gets a get.
And then it goes back to the Yavam.
But the Gemara is going to say something that's not so simple. Rashi points out there's more is going on. Soon Rabbi is going to say no. As soon as we do pass like this, that she couldn't go back to the Yavam. But the Gemara is going to soon say Rabbi Nuna holds that if she was Yavam, was sure. It's like this nus. And she's not going to go back to the Yavam. But this Gemara says that she may, and every pass like this. The Gemara continues. Back to Rav again. Yevama, Kedushin Neighbor, Nesun Yeshbon. So the first one we had already, Kedushin Neighbor means that Kedushin is not the office, but Yevama. Yevama was ship. She married somebody else. So that's what Rav said on top of the page. The words, and Kedushin tells him to be Yevama. This is the same words over here. That Kedushin, Neighbor, Yevama, Kedushin Neighbor. Kedushin doesn't take effect. Yevama, she's a stupid Yevama, and she went and married somebody else. Nothing happened. And according to Rav, she wouldn't need it yet. Maybe the kid is a opposite. But he said Nesun Yeshbon. But if they did do the suing to somebody, if it wasn't a suing from the outsider, which means there were relations, so then it does take effect. The simple pshat of the words would mean that even though we say Kedushin Einba, and if someone gave her Kedushin, it's nothing, she doesn't need to get from it, because it doesn't take effect. Kedushin is not selfish, but if he married her mamish, he consummated the marriage, so then he does need to get from her, which doesn't make sense to him, because no such thing. If Kedushin is not selfish, it doesn't make a difference if it's Kedushin, or that he even had relations with her. Somebody with a sister, whatever it might be, any kind of fighting pieces. So Kedushin is not selfish, and if he gave her a ring instead of a relations, it's nothing. And if you have relations, also it's nothing. The high forest, but it's not that anything happened because of the Nesuin. So this doesn't make sense. The Master Kasha, Kedushin Einba, Nesuin Ami Einba. Kedushin doesn't take place. Nesuin also doesn't make anything happen. She should not need to get. So the Gemara has three possible explanations. First of all, it says Eino, Kedushin and Nesuin Einba. First evidence is they go highlighted. The first evidence is he did refer to them. Kedushin and Nesuin Einba. Not the way we first read it. Kedushin Einba, Nesuin Einba. No, we rewrite it. Kedushin and Nesuin Einba. Either one. Even if they have relations, also there's no get. Which is what we said a second ago. There's no Kedushin, but there's no Nesuin also. Iboy saying another teretz. Mine Nesuin, Yeshba. What do we mean to say that Nesuin takes effect? Is nus. It means that it was a Mises nus. If you just gave her Kedushin, so we gave her a ring. So it's not going to say take it back, and no get, no nothing at it. But if the Mises had relations, so it's like this Yevama L'Shuk. This Yevama, she had relations with somebody. She was Lazana. She's supposed to have Yibum, and she didn't get Yibum, and she went to marry somebody else. And what's the thing? For the Rabbi Muna, she messed up with Zinsa, Asur Yibum. But the Muna says that if she was Lazana with an outsider, she's not allowed to go back to the other. The same way her husband, if she's Zinsa, she can't go back to the husband. So too, she messed up with Zinsa, she can't go back to the other. So according to this Rabbi Muna, that would be a good shot that God might have said the Nesuin Yeshba means that the Nesuin, if they had relations, it takes effect. What is the effect? What effect does it have? Not that you get. It takes effect that she can't go back to the other anymore.
Yeshba znus, isn't that what it means? That it was really
It's
znus.
nus, and it takes effect. What it takes effect? Not that she needs to get from you, but it's a nus, and that affects that she can't go back to the other anymore. Kedushin, nothing happens. Kedushin ain't gone.
Oh, there
It doesn't
is.
take effect, and nothing happens. Kedushin is nothing. Nothing happens. But if she didn't have relations, so that makes her also to go back to the other. And Rashi points out, what we said a second ago, but now we can see both of them. Rashi points out that this statement is against what I said before. Here it says the opposite. This is how Rashi talking. And Rashi said that if the Yevama, she married, she had relations with Yisrael. So we told Yisrael to give her a gift, and then she goes back to, I'm sorry. She had relations with somebody, and the Yavam was in Israel. She goes back, she gets a gift from that outsider, and then she goes back to live with the Yavam. That's against Rabbi Muna. Rabbi Muna says that when she had relations out of the people, out of the Zika, she's not allowed to go back.
She can't go back.
She can't go back. So Rashi says Rashi represents Rabbi Muna, and we pass like Rashi. We pass like the first Gemara. We don't pass like Rabbi Muna that says she met Shem Chezinsa, Asur Yivam. That was the second evidence. And the third evidence, Ibo is saying, although to the one very thorough, keep it the way we first thought that it says. It says the soon Yeshbo, which means that she doesn't even get. She doesn't even get. If there was the third evidence is going to say Kedamona. And the Suin Yeshbo, the Mechlufa, the Isha Shalvala in Minasayam. It goes back to the simple plot that we thought first thought. But before we reject it, because it doesn't make sense. Why should she need to get? Just because they have relations, Kedushin is not Topis. The same way Kedushin is not Topis, the Sin is also not Topis. And the Gemara is saying, but yes, we are going to Mechayev to get. Over to the money way, cover Kedushin name of the Sun Yeshba. That's how we thought. That was the first reading, and we're keeping it. That's what it means. And the Kasha doesn't make sense. No, Kedushin is not Topis. You're right. Really, it's not Topis. But the Michlef the Isha Shalom of Sayam. But there's going to be a confusion with the woman who went, her husband went to overseas. And Rashi explains to me that this case, not just about a regular case of Yevamos, it means the reason why she married the Shuk is because she had testimony of that says that she should marry out, she could marry out. That there was no Yibum, he said, wherever the husband died before the child, and there's no Yibum, she said, can marry out. And if you're going to say in that case, that she does not need to get, even if she has a suit to that outsider, they're going to think also, a regular H.S. whose husband went and did a Sayyam and got testimony that he died, she's not going to need to get from the outsider, from the second husband. That's not true. She really does need to get. And the reason she needs to get is because people might think, we had the word before, people might think that she got divorced from the first husband and married the second husband. Now we're going to tell her that she goes out and she goes and gets married without getting a get. They'll think that she's an Isha without a get. So because we want to make sure that in case of an Isha she should get a get from the second husband, even though it's only Rabbana. We want to say what we said, but also about the case of Yevamos the Shuk. That the Eilecha testified that she can marry out, also she should get from the second one.
So the Michlefa means?
It's confused. It can be confused with the case of a woman,
to be confused
with a woman whose husband went to be Sayyam and over there, she does need to get from the second husband, even though it's not really a husband, but with that one that knows that she needs to get from the second one. So too, in the case of the Eilecha that came and said that she can marry out, as there's no Yavam, is not holding on to her. So also with this, she does need a get from the outside of the shuk, even though she was not, then she was not, but the solution is not open. So that's the zoom out again. If one finish saying one focus Rabbi Shmuel, Yevamos the Shuk is conclusion topes. Rab said conclusion is not topes, and Shmuel said it's not strong. If one continues, hopefully today is going to be, Kamat hopefully is going to be on the side point over here, which is most going to talk about starting from here. And anybody that learned about Nezikin and about Matzir, Abdullah Shalom Olam, everybody in maybe 5th grade, 6th grade, that we have those sugars over there. So we're starting again with the sugya of Abdullah Shalom Olam. So that's how the more starts over here. I'm Rabbi Yanai. The Chabura, meaning the Gamu, and conclusion don't in the Yevon. They voted and came to the conclusion in the Chabura. I'm not sure the Chabura was. And conclusion don't in the Yevon, like Rav said. Rav said this. Rav said that the conclusion is not Tofus because we'll see it's amazing. Conclusion is not Tofus. Shmuel said he wasn't sure. The truth is, we don't pass like this. Even though it says, even the Gamu, he said before, he said the Basan is Shmuel. He passed like Shmuel. That says he's not sure. He also said the Basan is Shmuel. I'm not you're saying it. So you forget. So we are not sure that conclusion is not Tofus, but this whole Gemara is going a point around that says, and conclusion doesn't be alone. Okay, conclusion is not Tofus. And even if there was conclusion, you don't need to get, it's nothing. Maybe the kid is a mamzer, if they had a child, but conclusion is not Tofus. That's what Yanai said. Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabbi Yanai, Rebbe, he calls it Rabbi Yanai is Rebbe. Rabbi Yanai is the Rebbe of Rabbi Yochanan. No Mishnah saying no, is there an open Mishnah? It's open Mishnah. Can you a Mishnah that says that conclusion is not Tofus B'Yevamos? What does it say? It's none. Omer Isha, Aveh Mikudeshesli, Ma'achar She'Eskaya, Ma'achar She'Tizgami, Ma'achar She'Eshtakre, Ma'achar She'Tishtakru, Ma'achar She'Yomus Ba'aleh, Ma'achar She'Tamus Achoseh, or Ma'achar She'Tachos Yevamos. It has, I think, 7 cases, seven scenarios, and it says all these cases end with Mikudeshes. So let's take one at a time. Some of them are very fascinating. Man said to a Goyish man said to a Jewish woman, he gave her a ring and said, he's a Goyish man, but he has the intention to be with Gaia. So he says, I want to be with you now, which take effect after my divorce. I have an appointment to be with Gaia in another 2 months. I want to make sure that you get married. So he gives a kedusha now, and he says it should take effect when after I become again. What would you say? What's the question? I would say the Shona. Do I give kedusha?
And he says, after I,
He should take it, he did the my solution now, he gave her the
and
money.
he said, after I convert,
It should take effect after I convert.
Yeah.
Or the opposite, that he said to a Goyish woman who wants to convert, he gave her the ring now, as she's a guy, he says, that's what conditions leave, it should take effect after you become a girl. What would you say? I would say, not talk about, that's what I would say. Another case.
Maybe the back in Shas and Poskim. Maybe a back in Shas and Poskim.
But if they're not Jewish, you know. The next case is really all very similar. The case will be an Evan Canaan. Also gave the condition to a
after
Jewish
I
woman.
become free, after you become free.
Right. First Lachash Shtakrir and all Lachash to Shakari.
Okay.
Then after I become free, the Evan Canaan says to a Jewish woman, I'm giving you a condition that should take effect after I become free. Or he gave a Jewish man gave condition to a Shifra Canaan and said it should be take effect after you become free. Or another case. A man went over to Isha Sish. He went over to a married woman.
And said, I
And
marry
said,
you.
you. I'm giving you a condition
Until you get
when your husband dies. It's take effect when your husband dies. Take clips from it.
It could be also not. It could be their husband's a guy is in like
Okay.
on.
It's not a goy.
Okay, so wait until he dies.
No, he wants to calm her down. He says she thinks she's gonna be on the rest of like.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I thought she has to wait 3
Yeah,
months. Anyway.
we're not, that's condition. Again, anyway, we're not, okay, few months after, whatever. But anyway, that's not an emotional part of this, so yes, another case. But the point is,
It
that
seems
he gave her,
ridiculous.
like
Yeah,
now
it
that
seems
she dies
on Monday, you bury him,
after
Tuesday,
the
Wednesday,
baby-
you get that.
Another case, he's married to a woman who has a sister.
Wednesday night.
And
Yeah,
he
so when
can't
his
marry,
sister-
can't marry a second wife sister.
Oh, he said that.
The person's married to a woman who has a sister. He can't marry the sister.
Oh, so he says to the
He
sister,
says to the sister that I'm giving Kaddish you after your sister was my wife, died.
Oh, that's good.
Can't marry two sisters.
Right.
But
But as soon as she dies-
when she dies,
If I give her the sign night, then if she dies, then.
hey, it doesn't say that, whatever the case is. Or another case, that's the 86 case. Now the last case, that was something wrong with. The woman is Yevama, her husband died without children, and now she's scooped to the Yavam, and she didn't get chalitza yet. But someone is Mekadosh her that it should take effect after she gets chalitza. Well, it says in all these cases in Mekudeshes. And there's one of the things.
after, he's, in other words, the husband died, and then before anything is done, he
Before
says,
the chalitza was done from the.
he says,
no,
before, I'm married to you after Chalitza happened.
Right.
Are we talking about, is this Rabbi Yochanan's telling Rabbi
But the
Yochanan?
Yochanan is being a mission, it's a mission.
It's a mission. He's
And the
quoting a
Yochanan is
mission.
proving to this missioner that Yevama, the Shuk, is not Topis Kedusha. And he beats this mission. What does he see? In the Kedusha, because the last case, how come it's not Topis Kedusha? If one only things because what we call that right now, you couldn't do the might. If a person would say something to a woman, I'm going to give you Kedusha now, I'll give you a ring, and it should take effect in 30 days, in a year, in a month. You can do that. That's not a problem. You can make Kedusha now, that should take effect later on.
Right.
How come these cases don't work? The one thing, some reason why it doesn't work is because right now, he doesn't have the ability to do the Kaddish and want to do it now. Like the Goya, the Eved, the Shifta, or the husband is still living, or the sister is still living. So all these cases,
They're not a possibility.
not a possibility to do now. But if it would be a possibility to do it now, then the Gemara is a problem that it should work. And the last case that it says that he gave Kedushin to Yevama, why is it not good? If Kedushin is Topes, you're not supposed to, it's Chai B'Lavan, but Kedushin is Topes. If Kedushin is Topes, then it should be a good Kedushin. It's a proof, so you must see, it must be, this mission holds, that Kedushin is not Topes behind the Yevama. And therefore, when he gave a Kedushin now, that should be followed after the Halitza, it doesn't take effect, because right now, there's able to do it. So it's a rubbish logo. It's a thing which is not yet existing. That was a reference run. Is everybody impressed with the reference run? That if the halacha would be that Kedushin is Topus B'Yevama, so the last case, Lacha Shachla Sak Yevama, it should be in the Kedushin, because he gave Kedushin to this Yevama, who's standing Yevama, she's standing for Yevama, she's a Kupam Yevama, but it's only a Yevama. It's not like the other cases that's not Topus Kedushin. This case would be Topus Kedushin. So if it's possible to have Topus Kedushin now, so there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to make it. It should be done afterwards.
He's coming as
A
a proof against Rav Yana.
No, a proof to Rav Yana.
Well, didn't we say before, a proof to Rav Yana?
That Kedushin is not Topus Kedushin. It's like Rav said at the top of the page, 4 seconds wasn't short. Rabbi Yana said he passed him like Rav. This is not Tofes. So Rabbi says a fresh Kedusha.
Okay.
Amalei. So Rabbi Yana said you're right. But he allowed the Daloi Bachaspa in the Shkachas Marganisa to say, if I wouldn't have picked up the piece of Cheres, piece of shard, the shard, that you have found the pearl under it, means you're right, it's a right, but you wouldn't have noticed it if I wouldn't have made this comment to say, if I wouldn't have told you the point that Kusha is not told us to be a problem, you wouldn't have realized that that's an omission. It means you're right, it is a good proof, but it's only after I told you that you sowed that you're able to see it in the Mishnah. You
Nice.
wouldn't have seen it if I wouldn't have mentioned it. So he did agree that it's a good right. That the Mishnah says that you can't even establish a woman that should take effect after she gets chalitza, because right now it wouldn't take effect, it would not take effect.
Right.
If it would take effect now, then he'd be able, then the Mishnah wouldn't be true. Then the Mishnah says, it wouldn't be Mukadashis because he could have done it now. Since it says that it doesn't work, it must be because it wouldn't be good now. It's a good raya that the Yevama is not Tofus Kedusha. You happy? Everybody's happy?
Sounds great.
I'm there with Shlokish. Shlokish said to
It makes sense. That's,
what makes sense?
this whole thing makes sense that until she gets chalitza from the guy, then she can't get it.
No, the Gemara says it's only because Kedusha is not Tofus Yevama. Only reason why she can't do it is because right now he can't do it. But if he'd be able to do it now, let's say what if in Kedusha he said to the woman, I let the Kedusha sleep now. She's Yevama waiting for chalitza. And someone on the outside would come and say, I let the Kedusha sleep right now. Does it work?
No, because she didn't get a chalitza yet.
Yeah, but the Gemara says, let's say Shmuel. Shmuel says it's not sure. Yeah, the Gemara is talking about he wants it to take effect after the chalitza. He's doing it now.
Right.
That should take effect later. What if he would say it take effect now? So the Gemara says that this is all the same question. Because if it could work now, it will work later also. The fact that it can't work later is because now it doesn't work.
Right.
So let's say you hold like Shmuel. Shmuel says
you hold
that
like Shmuel,
there's very
says
good time
it's
to
not
say that the Rama is. That there is a purpose solution. Why not? Something I did not do. Not allowed. There are things you're not allowed to do, but if you do, it takes effect.
All
And
right.
you get it. So the question is, if someone's only a chayv love, so if someone with mekadosh does it take effect? So Shmuel says maybe, and the Gemara is saying if it would be maybe, then it wouldn't be the end of the kedushes, because then if you'd be able to do it now, then you'd be able to make it now for later. The fact that it says it doesn't work for later, it must be because you can't do it now.
But we do pass on much more, right?
You pass next one, that's the suffix, right?
But this whole figure is now is not
Right,
in
going
this
on,
world.
going to-
Really, we don't know.
We don't know. Maybe inclusion is focused.
Wow.
The-
And that's something that could happen today.
Yeah, well,
This is something that happened today. That
If someone gave
Well,
permission now, and she didn't know all the halachas, whatever, and she
Right.
did, she got married to somebody, and maybe she needs a get now from that person.
Right, right, where she didn't complete it, we didn't get chalitza.
And that's, yeah. Okay, that's anymore. So,
Yeah, it's so less of a problem. They're not all marrying a
Mm.
Won't let you. Oh, yeah, yeah. It's fine, but yours passed back.
The laws against them.
Okay, but he passed him that.
Allowed to, yeah, okay.
He went against.
the more now, the more continues to say, maybe it's not a right. Maybe the switch is not a right. Maybe even though we said it's a good right, everybody's happy about it. It's open on the ground, everybody's happy. Amalei Shlokish said to Yochanan, you have the house of Rabbi Rabba, and the main of Chano, and sees the Rabbi Kivi, Rabbi Kish tells him, it's not a right. The Shlokish says it's not that you got a big compliment from a great man, that Rabbi Yana complimented you as a good right.
How come I don't see where it says Chai of 11? You were reading and then all of a sudden I lost it.
It's on the green.
Hmm?
It's highlighted by green. I would have told you, the Kivi, the Amma,
Thank you.
if not for the compliment, I mean, it's not a words I could be Matchalavai. But not a compliment, he was a good ride. But really, you could push away the ride. You could say that the author of this mission is Rabbi Kiva, who holds a Kedusha talks of any kind of Lavin. Because we had Rabbi Kiva many times. That we hold Kedusha is not talks for Chavi Krisis, but Chavi Lavin it is Topes. And maybe Vama is the same. But Kiva holds any Kedusha talks of Chavi Lavin. So he surely holds that the Vama is not going to be Topes Kedusha. What do you see in this mission? That Kedusha is not Topes by Vama. If Rabbi Kiva is talking, then it goes without saying. Kedusha is not Topes by Vama because he holds Kedusha is not Topes by any Chavi Lavin. Is the whole thing is Shabbat and Shmuel, the whole discussion is according to Rabbanan. Rabbanan, the whole solution is the first behind it, maybe one was a deception because it says, Alo Sihiyah. But according to Rabbakiva that says, solution is not Topus behind it, and then it goes without saying that solution is not Topus B'Yavama. So you have no proof. What do you find in this Mishnah? If solution is not Topus B'Yavama, maybe Rabbakiva is the author. The whole focus is according to Rabbanan, but according to Rabbakiva, it goes without saying that solution is not Topus B'Yavama. So you have no proof. Right? But the Gemara continues that that's not simple. The state of the Mishnah Rabbi Akiva is saying that he holds that ain't other makdash lo bol olam. But the Gemara goes on, the whole discussion on the rest of the page today is going to be is that what do we hold about the makdash lo bol olam? It means there are two ingredients necessary that the kedushin shouldn't be kedushin. One is that kedushin is not focused now, and ain't other makdash lo bol olam. That you can't make a kinyan on a thing which didn't come into existence yet. So if you can't do it now, you can't do it later. But there's a
But Rabbi Akiva doesn't hold
Rabbi
it.
Akiva, the Muslim show, Rabbi Akiva holds on the makdash lo bol olam. That you could make a kinyan on the future, even though it doesn't exist right now. So you can't say every mission of Rabbi Akiva talking, because even though he holds that kedushin is not focused on yevamos, that's not a reason why it shouldn't be able to project the kedushin for later on. And in all these cases, the Gemara says that the case of the Goya and the Goya, the Eved and the Shifcha, and the husband who's still alive, or the sister who's still alive, that he put to project the kedushin for later on. The whole problem with the Gemara sees is only because which is very surprising to me, because the guy comes out that the guy willing to do a nice kedushin. Oh, the problem is this is Darish Lov because he can't do kedushin right now. But if you hold on the Darish Lov, the guy can make kedushin for later on. To make kedushin to a Darish woman who's going to become a guy. The whole thing. So it's fascinating. But that's what the Gemara seems to say. And now the Gemara is discussing if it's possible to explain this Mishnah according to Rabbi Akiva, because he holds that the kedushin is not focused. But the Gemara is going to say here more continues. That was this reading was Rabbi Shlokish. Shlokish said he could say the Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva. But the Gemara now attacks that. Rabbi Akiva, this is what kedushin. According to Rabbi Akiva, even though he knows kedushin is not focused by the Lavan and Yevamos, but here he should know that he can make kedushin projecting it for later on. Because there's proof, we'll see right away. Rabbi Akiva holds a person could make a kinyan on a thing which doesn't exist yet. So too, he'd be able to make kedushin, even though right now he can't. Now we're going on to the sugya of Darish Lov Bol Olam. Itnan Mishnah Honam Shani Ose Leficha. A woman said to her husband, "I'm making aser any of my earnings that you should not be allowed to benefit from. Usually the earnings of a wife go to the husband. She wanted to aser it on her husband, so she made it. The word Honam was like hektish. She made it. She made it nether. She asered. She prohibited her earnings to her husband.
Osa means things that I do.
Right.
And
That
Leficha,
reduced to yoma. Means it should be from Leficha. It should be also to yoma. She's answering her husband on her earnings. So the Tanna Kamma says, the husband doesn't have to bother nullifying the vow, the neder, because, and since anyway her earnings is meshubah to him, he has a right to it. Right. She doesn't have the ability to answer it on him. It belongs to him. She only can ask a person only asks her own things. But here that her earnings is meshubah, is a lien, the husband has a lien on it, it's his, so she doesn't have a ability to answer it, so it doesn't have to nullify it, because anyway it doesn't take effect. But the Kiva says he should nullify it, because he only has a right to a certain amount of her earnings. But if she makes more than that, then it's hers. We won't go into the details now. I don't know the details. But if she makes extra earnings, then she does have a right to it. So he should nullify her vow that it shouldn't take effect in case she makes more and he has a right to it. But the Gemara is asking,
makes more than
he has a right to.
Then he has a right to.
But the Gemara is asking all these things. She didn't earn anything. She's going to earn it. What she's going to earn, she didn't earn it yet. So how could neder take effect on something which is not here yet? That must be because the Kiva holds that you could project in the future, even though right now it's not Bola. Both as far as Kinyan and neder, the both are still in the same tone. They're all the same. So the Gemara is saying, but Kiva, even if he holds that, like I said before, that the Yevamos of the Shuk is no Tfisas Kedushin, that's very nice. But he holds other Makdav Shalom Olam. As you see by Neder. So to over here, he should hold that the Kedushin should be able to be projected to later on, even though now it's not good. What's more I want to say with that? It must be that Rabbanan is talking this Mishnah, not Rabbi Akiva. And you see the point to Rabbanan, Kedushin is not Tofis. Right. So it's a right to Rav. That's the basic Gemara's discussion. So Shlokish speaks up that no, you don't see in this Mishnah about the Dorim that Rabbi Akiva holds of the Makdav Shalom Olam. The case is not that she just said, I'm answering the earnings. The earnings don't exist yet. But she said, I'm answering my hands. As if I'm consecrating my hands to Hashem, to the ones who made my hands, to he who made my hands. Which means that is below them. If a person says, if she would say, I'm answering my earnings,
Right.
so it's not here yet. But if she says, I'm consecrating my hands, and then
That
when
whatever
they
I
were
earn.
all the earnings
Right.
that are produced by the hands are Kodesh to Hashem, because the hands are Kodesh. It's a machine which is producing something, so the machine is Kodesh, so the produce is Kodesh. We have done this move on, but the hands are here. So therefore, it's not a proof that a people holds other matish double shalom. It could be other it could be that he holds another like standard psak is another matish double shalom. Remember the case of the mission before that said that he's mekadosh a woman in a time that he can not marry her. Could be projected that later on the marriage should take place, and therefore it could be of a kiva, and a kiva holds that any chag is not Tofus Kedushin, so it's no right to know. That's not the Gemara. Really, that's not the Gemara. But there's also a big cruise now that goes on to the subject about Tavashlo Bala. We finished our subject. It goes on till on the days. It just zoom out to see how far this is going to go. It starts on here on the fifth line or so from the top. That's the parentheses, and it goes down the days until about 6th or 7th line. That's going to be the end of the study. Then we'll go back into
We're at
the
Uplika.
territory. Right?
We're at Uplika, or did I miss something?
Go up to there now. That's where we're
Yeah,
starting.
okay.
That pliga is a parenthesis that's going to go into the subject about double shalom. So pliga of Nachal Yitzchak. What we just said now about Yeshua said that you can say it's talking about you see she consecrated the hands and not that you see double shalom olam. Rav Nachal Yitzchak said that. Rav Nachal Yitzchak says that this what we just learned about Kohen Shem Yosef Lapicha, that is a proof that other Nachal double shalom olam. Is this discussion about double shalom olam, which we had a case about Neder, and we thought that's a proof that the Kiva holds other Nachal double shalom olam, and that when the Beit of Yeshua refuted the proof by saying that it's talking about that she consecrated her hands, not the earnings. So that's the question. But Nachal Yitzchak holds, like we originally said, that it is a proof that other Nachal double shalom olam. Dam of Nachal Yitzchak, a whole list. Rav Huna Kiram, Rav Yana, Rav Yana Kapia, Rav Pia Rebbe. Rebbe Kav Meir, Meir Kav Elizabeth Yaakov, Elizabeth Yaakov Kav Akiva, the Amar, other Nachal double shalom olam. He brought a long list, and he says each one holds like the generation before him, and they all hold like a Akiva at the top of the list that holds other Nachal double shalom olam, and the Gemara is after the whole list. The Gemara is get to Akiva that we have at the top of the page. That says Kohen Shem Yosef Lapicha Yofer. That means that it takes effect. It must be because he holds other Nachal double shalom olam, and he doesn't say it's talking about because you have a saying that they consecrated the hands. He learns Pashut that it's a case that the people hold of them is yes not the as we thought. And now the Gemara is going to do us the favor of going through all these people. There are 7 people who besides the people. There's going to be Rav Huna and Rav and Rav Yana and Rav Tia and Rebbe and Rav Meir and Rav Elizabeth Yaakov, and they all hold like a people that says and this cruise is going to take us all kinds of cases. Mamish taking a cruise different sites on the cruise to see where does it come into play the concept of Double Shalom. Some cases might be familiar with, some of them might be Kedushin. The first one, Rav Huna Mayim. Where do you have Rav Huna that holds other Nachal Double Shalom? Somebody sold the dates of his date tree to a friend that they didn't grow yet. He has a date tree, and every season it grows dates. So he sold somebody the dates before they grew. What he said, does it take effect? That's the question. If you could sell something that doesn't exist.
Yes.
So I'm Rav Huna. Huna said that it's nothing can take effect until it grows. Even if you hold the only issue is going to be that once it comes, it takes effect. But before it comes, it doesn't take effect. So the seller can back out of the deal before it grows. But once it's in the world, you can't because the opinion that they made, the sale
The Kenyan retroactively was good. Once they're there.
retroactively or I guess so, that's what I say.
Or
Now it takes effect when they grow.
it takes effect, but he still has a chance.
He could.
Why does he have a chance to retract?
Before it grows, because before it grows, it doesn't take effect. It means it only takes effect when it happens. I'm doing a mice now that should take effect when it comes into the world. It can't take effect before the world comes to the world. Before the dates came into the world, so there's nothing that should be owned, that should be sold. But the only issue was once it comes into the world, so then, as you said, retroactively it was sold. But if that retroactive, at the point that it comes into being, they never came into the world. He backed out of the deal before they were grown. So then he could back out, even if you hold other Nachal double shalom. But now we want to. That was a Huna. So Huna holds other Nachal double shalom. That Nachal argues it says the whole thing doesn't take place. We should both hold them. You can always retract because the aim of the matter because you cannot make a deal on something which doesn't exist. But if one knows that it's good, of course it has to come into existence in order to happen.
He can retract even after they're there, says Rabbi.
Why? Because if not one knows the aim of the matter.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Right, and we want a Huna. We're looking for a Huna, the first one. The Huna says that when it comes into the world, it does take effect. Why? Because the old other matter. That was the first of the list that we said out of the start over here. That not me, so said that the Huna, that was the first one, the Huna, and the other matter. The Muslim side point is not our subject at all. I'm Rav Nachman Modina, the Shamat Bachar Baba came in there. Rav Nachman, even though he says the Elam and what? And even after it grows, the seller could be tracked. But if the buyer
Took him down.
took some dates, so
Yeah.
then we don't
And
take
ate
it
them.
back from him and has them still whatever.
And, Achil means he ate them,
Oh,
didn't
Shamat Bachar, you're right. I don't know if Bachar was literally he ate it or he probably
he? Used them, he could have sold them.
or he has them, but like utilize them, so we don't take it away from him. Because even though and it doesn't take effect, the Kenyan never took effect, even after the things grow, didn't take effect. But if he took it, we don't make it pay back.
What's mafkina?
To take the low seed, we don't extract it from him. And I don't know the reason for that, but it's not a sugya, so if we could pass it on, it's a side thing that has to do with Davar Shalom Alona. But what we wanted is that Rabuna, the first Amora, that he holds the Master Davar Shalom Alona, and when the thing comes into existence, it does belong, the Kenyan retroactively takes place. And the second one is that Rabuna was like Rav also. Each one of these 7 people, they hold the Master Davar Shalom Alona. How do you know Rav was like that? Somebody sells a field before he buys it. He says, before he buys the field, he says, well, I'm going to buy it, I'm selling it to you. I'm selling it to you now. It doesn't nice a kid now to sell a field that he doesn't even own. But he says, when I'm going to buy it, from now, I want to sell it to you. So come on, Rav holds it out, and we can do that. Even though it's Davar Shalom Alona, Rav holds, but they're not Davar Shalom Alona. The Biane and the three both of them hold that the other Davar Shalom Alona was the case over here. The Biane have a research that reminds him to counter the payment from our Shabbat. But Biane had a sharecropper that would bring him a basket of Paris every Erev Shabbos. Means he had a field, Biane had a field, and there was a sharecropper over there, and he would bring him his whatever he owes the owner every Erev Shabbos. He'd bring him a basket of food. One day he came late, he didn't come. But also, he didn't get come. He knew he was going to come still, but it was getting late before Shabbos. He said, the base Allah. He took and he tied the produce, which he doesn't have yet. It wasn't given to him yet. He tied it before he got it.
Usher here means the mice.
He tied the Paris that he had in his own house, which usually you don't do that, because usually you're not Master Shalom and Amukha. You're supposed to do it only when it's next. But here, under the emergency, it was Master even from a distance, remotely. But the issue is,
They were in the world, they just weren't by him.
but could be that he doesn't own it yet.
He didn't own them yet. A mice is something that I don't own yet, but it's
But
gonna
I
come.
have to own the produce in order to be able to
Mice.
tie it.
Yeah.
So I don't own it. They didn't give it to me.
Uh-huh.
So how is he able to tie that which he does not own? So the more looks at it like Davar Shalom Alona. I'm tithing it now, that's take effect when I get it.
Uh-huh.
And the more says that the Rabbi did that, and he agreed to him. Also, like I made the Rabbi, I went to Rabbi, that's to be good well. I'm going to shop out this. Can I do that? Oh, I'm sorry. Shop out. Rabbi told him you did well. Shop out this. You did well. He said, you did well. I'll show you from a smart at least that it's possible to do that. The time of the mountain, you should talk about tithing over there. My Shashemi, that in order you should learn to fear Hashem all the days. They must make it Russia all the days. What does it mean all the days? It's a brush, of course. But even Shabbos not also you could tithe. And the Gemara says don't take it literally because you're not allowed to tithe on Shabbos. But my help us out. Why does it come to tell that you're allowed to tithe on Shabbos? Even with Asure, I'm sorry, the Gemara is going to say that you don't need the question to say that you're allowed to. Surely you're allowed to because only Yisrael Rabbanan the time. Even with Asure, doesn't mean in order to be allowed to tithe and eat. It's a calling mission. Total Rabbanan. You need a person to permit. There is a total which is only Rabbanan. Total means much usually. But the Akiva Eva points out that this is not muksa. This more means that there's no issue of tikka. If this is a tikka, there's issue of fixing up. But it's not really tilted. Here he says
Fixing.
So he should have said, "Here's the mafrega." So he was tilted. I'm going to on the talking Rabbanan. That the whole issue of tithing is only Rabbanan. If you're not allowed to fix something up. That's the issue of Shavuos, that it says in the second base that you're not allowed to tithe on Shabbos. Most of us are saying that you're allowed to tithe on Shabbos. It must be, I will not get it. It must be such a kind of case where you're tithing something which is not yet in your jurisdiction. So that was the Rafia and Abuna, both of them agreed that you're allowed to do such a thing. The Tosis points out that there was an issue about tithing from a distance. That was what they were asking maybe was the issue. But nobody held that there's an issue about it doesn't belong to you, it's not under your jurisdiction yet. You see, both the Abuna and Rafia both said that's not an issue. Adam, and you could be master. You could also tithe something that was not yet under your jurisdiction. So you see that they hold other top line, carrying the Abuna said of who's this? Rav, I forgot the name. Rav Yana. Rav Yana said,
What's that green?
they read to me in a dream. Means I had a dream that a person crushed a smashed reed. That was what he had a dream, a smashed reed. And he took that as a sign from heaven that he didn't do a good thing. Like a smashed reed. He tried to renounce it before he got it, or that's far away. It's a smashed reed. My love, didn't they mean to hinder the passage that says in the Lochin, that you trusted in a smashed cane. Mishanis is a cane, a smashed cane, a reed. So aren't they telling me that it's the bad thing that I did? That I relied on this kind of masa, which is not good? No. So Priya told him no, that's not what they meant. They meant to have a different pasuk in Yeshaya, which also talks about a kind of they're saying that Mashiach is not going to have to even break a smashed reed. Means he's going to be able to rule over all the nations of the world without war. He's not going to have to use war. He's not going to even have to break a broken reed, and he's not going to have to put out a fire, extinguish a fire that's from wax that probably is very flammable, but it burns out right away. The point is to say that it's not telling you a bad thing, it's telling you a good thing. That it's a good thing, it's a positive kind of process. It's not a bad kind of process. Anyway, that's the end of the story, and that was that Priya, Ariana and Priya, both of them held that you're about to be Maaser, and you see that they hold the next case, Rebbe, I'll tell you also holds Davar Shalom. The Tanya, the Pasuk says, don't deliver a slave to his master. Asher, over there. I forgot the person exactly, that's going to come to you. So there's a lot that you're not allowed to sometimes deliver every Tanani back to his master. It talks about if he ran away from a goy, I think, or if he ran away from a Jew, from Fuslo to Israel, you're not allowed to deliver him back into the hands of his master. And Rebbe says another case that you're not allowed to deliver an Eved to the hands of his master. The Mokech Eved Amanasa Shachua Kasabadaber, that he bought an Eved Kanani with the intention, with the condition of freeing, which the God explains, taking that was the case.
Rashi says so.
That why?
But it's asking about Abdina to do Kitagumai, the Vacha Fu Ever Canaan, she's so Shabrach Mukhtar, so it's so.
And what's the pasuk for?
But it's asking then about she not so Rachamim Adam.
Shame that's it. What's the case? That you're not allowed to keep a slave that you bought in order to free. The cost of way, that he bought a slave, and when he bought him, he told him, I'm freeing, he gave him freedom before he bought him. He said, I'm freeing you, that when I buy you, you're freed from now. That's also the Shalom. He frees him before he owns him. So you see that you could project an act, take effect on something which right now you don't have to do what you can do. That was the right that every holds on the market of Shalom. The next one is Rav Meir. The Tanan. Next one, the more says, Rav Huna holds like Rav holds like Yana holds like Rav holds like Rebbe, Rebbe holds like Meir. All of them are hold Davar Shalom. Is Rav Meir, the Tanan, this we know already. But we didn't know the way argues. This is the mission that we had before that says all these 7 cases about marrying somebody that right now you cannot marry, but you're projecting it to a later date that you won't be able to. The Tanan, the Tanya. This is a license every sign, the Tanya. I'm Malish, I reckon that's just the Lachash S guy, Lachash is by me, Lachash S Tapper, Lachash is Chitish Tapper me, Lachash Amos Baler, Lachash the Mesa Jose, Lachash Afros of the life. And all these 7 cases that right now, conclusion is not Tophes, but he's doing it, projecting the conclusion will be Tophes, so he could do it. Tanakh says he could do it. But Meir Omer, I'm sorry, the Tanakh says you cannot do it. Why? Because end of the Makdav Shalom, And the Rebbe says you could do it. What do you see? So another proof that a proof that the Rebbe also agrees to the whole list of people that say, oh, the next one is a list of the I would have highlighted it in yellow, but the computer didn't let me. So that's underlined it. Of a list of the Tanya. How do we know that Elizabeth Yaakov holds on the Machamosh Lobo? The Tanya, yes, I came on the Elizabeth Yaakov, but people know my favors of Buga Zoo, Shim, Yehu Truma, favors of Buga Kubo Rim, oh, favors of Buga Kubo Rim, a favors of the Shim, because you hear Shlish, the Toshu, they hear Shlish, the Mitlishu, Rakam.
What is it? I mean, at the end. No, that's just up to Rabbi Akiva. We're still in the Brisa?
It's still in the Brisa.
Yeah.
And that was a case that somebody, that Trumas and Maestros are only from detached produce. While something is still attached to the ground, so it's not attacking Trumas and Maestros. And also, you cannot take Trumas and Maestros on it, even if you have something which is already detached. It only can take effect on food, only Tevro that's already detached. Here I have two cases. Either that he said that these detached fruit should be Truma on these attached produce, or the opposite, that attached food should be Truma on those food which is already detached. When it's going to grow a third, to mature growth and be detached, and it happened. The word Kayama, the religion not going to say the word. Why is it word? Because there was Shalom Baloma. Same way we said that about the Kenyan and about Neder, also about Trumas and Maestros, that you could be on a Aser on a Davar Shalom Baloma. So that's another proof. That's a proof that religion also holds in this concept that you could project something which you cannot do now. You could project it, and it should take effect when you'll be able to do it, even though right now you cannot do it. And the last one is Rabbi Akiva. That's what we for the whole time. This is the main point. Rabbi Akiva holds also on the Machlev Shlomo Lola. If you know, Konom Shem Yosef Akiva, in itself the Hofer, Akiva on the Yofer, Shem Atash, Chalav Yesem Roilo, that a woman could hasa the produce which she did not yet earn, the earnings that she did not yet earn, they're not blessed yet in the world, and she could make it us with her husband when it comes into the world. So you see, the Machlev Shlomo Lola, and even though the Gemara before rejected the proof, you could say still proof that she consecrated her hands. He doesn't know like that. He only gives a simple case that she consecrated her earnings, not that she consecrated her hands, and that means that it's never Shlomo and it's still a word. So you see the two holds are not Shlomo. If that's true, we'll just go back to the Gemara before. So the issue we said about the Mishnah is there a proof that the Rabbanan hold that yevamos is not Tochas Kedushin, then it will be a truth because the Mishnah can't be Rabbi Akiva. Because if people holds like a man, that are not never show below them. So the whole Mishnah is not true. So the Mishnah not going to Rabbi Akiva. And still it says that there's no Tfisis solution by Yevama. So you see that even if going to Rabbana, the five of love is focused solution, but Yevama the Shuk is not. That's how the whole Gemara is revolving really around this Mishnah. If you say that this Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva talking, if you hold that Rabbi Akiva holds on the Machlev Shlomo Lola, the Mishnah is not Rabbi Akiva, so you have a value to Rav. If you hold that Rabbi Akiva could hold any of the Machlev Shlomo Lola, the Mishnah could be Rabbi Akiva talking, and he surely holds that the Mishnah is not talking to Yevama because he holds he's not talking to any kind of Rav. So it would not be a raya to Rav as far as Kedushin being talking according to Rabbana of Rabbi Akiva. And that's the decision. The Gemara continues. Yusuf. Rav Sheshes. That's Rav Sheshes. What's the thing of one aid that comes to testify that a woman should do yibum? Which the truth is we have the Mishnah already, so everyone should know the answer. But the Gemara answered as a question. The answer of Sheshes, if an Eidach comes to say that a woman should do yibum. Same way we have cases, Eidach comes to say that a woman can get married, her husband died, and she can marry out. The other case is that he comes and says that the husband died, that she's trying to do yibum to her brother, to her brother-in-law. Is that enough testimony to rely on? So we would say yes. We have the Mishnahs like that. But before one of those Mishnahs, it deals with the photo. Time of the Eidach, we know Eidach helps to remind a woman to get married. Her husband died, the Eidach comes and says the husband died, and she's allowed to marry out. Time of the Eidach, maybe the reason why I trust in Eidach is because it's something which is going to become revealed. It means people don't lie when it's going to become obvious that they lie. They try to line up in the case where they be able to hold a secret that it was a lie. But if it's going to become anyway public knowledge, you don't do it. He's going to come and say testimony, husband died, and then 2 months later, the husband's going to come. So people don't do that. And even an Eidach, maybe you'll be able to trust. Maybe that's the reason why I trust an Eidach over here, because whatever he's testifying about is eventually going to be found out. If that's true, then lo mishakeh. Most of people would agree lo mishakeh. A person doesn't lie, something which is going to become revealed later. So hanami lo mishakeh. The point is that's the pshat. And here also, the Eidach is not going to lie, and you could trust him that the woman should be able to do even to her brother-in-law. Or Duma, time of the Eidach, mission the E, back on mitzvah. Maybe the only reason why we should do before, we gave it a parrot. The only reason why I trust it is only because the woman is going to, because of all the consequences you throw at her, that she's going to make sure that she did a good investigation and husband is dead. But if so, Mitzvah was to get married. But if that's true, then we're a little skeptical over here. Maybe over here that she knows the brother-in-law, and maybe she's interested in marrying him, maybe she likes him. The word rachmolei means that she likes him. Maybe she likes her brother-in-law, and she's very excited about marrying him now that her husband seems to have died. So she's not going to do a great investigation because she'll be overtaken by the desire to marry him. A regular woman that doesn't have we imagine that every woman doesn't have somebody in mind whom she wants to marry. So if she's before she goes looking on the market, before she goes to her she's gonna first investigate. So we don't have to be worried that maybe she has some ulterior motives and she's not thinking straight. But by yevamos, where it's already spelled out who she's supposed to marry, if the husband died, maybe she has a leaning towards him and she won't think straight. And she'll think that it's a good investigation, they never says so, and maybe then you won't be able to rely on him because she's too shaky over him. That's the most question. I'm going to Sheshes, Tanina, it's a Mishnah. What's the question? It's a Mishnah that says that you can rely on Eidach only been as far as you know. I said in the Mishnah, I'm going to Mesa the Net, Mes Baler, it is Yama, it says that testimony came, which is Eidach, we'll see something right away, that was Eidach, came and said that your son and husband died, son died first, then the husband, and they're saying the Chai Yibam, and she did the point that they're saying, that's what I want, that's the case. Married brother-in-law for his no Mr. Yibam, and any kid that she had from this Yavam, his brother-in-law was going to be a mamzer because before she knew, after she knew, even it was a mistake, but the kid's still a mamzer. So what's the case? The case is here that she got married to the Yavam because of the testimony of an Eidach. How do I know that's the case? It doesn't say clearly what the case was. He learned the trade. What's the case? At first they came, then they came to say the opposite. What was the case? Who came the first time? Who came the second time?
Trade means what?
2 and 2.
2 Adam and then 2 Adam.
Right. Maybe the case is that 2 Adam came and said that her husband died, that she's Chai Yibam, and then 2 Adam came and say no, that the husband died first, and there's no Yibam. There were two stages. First they came and said there is a Chai Yibam, then they came and said no, not. So who are these two? Who are these people? Was it 2 and 2? Then my father said Sani, small Hani. Then you don't know who's right. There's no definite right. The mission makes it sound like definitely the second one is right. Kate said about Mamzer. Maybe the first ones are right. It's 2 against 2. How can you say that she has to get divorced? And also, Mamzer, suffered Mamzer. You can't say that the kids are Mamzer. They only suffered Mamzer. You don't know who's right. It's true. Maybe they're Mamzer because you have 2 that say that it was not supposed to be done anything, and she married a brother-in-law for nothing. But the other ones say that no, there was evil men, and it's a good child, so you can't call him a Mamzer. The Chichem will have done. If maybe the Mishnah was not so precise in articulating what I meant to say, it says Mamzer really means suffered Mamzer. But when the say for a Rishon Mamzer, Papa and a Mamzer, you see that the Tana is very articulate when it says before, after, it talks about different stages. It's very, very accurate. So it's not going to just say Mamzer, that means suffered Mamzer. The case must have been there's only one aide that came and said that she should do Yibam, and you see, he listened to her. He listened to him. The time of the Asur betrayed. The only reason why you say that he's wrong is because 2 Aiden came against him and said that our order was opposite. First, husband died, and there's no Yibam. The time of the Asur betrayed. For sure, the only reason why we knocked down the testimony of the Eidach was because 2 Aiden came and contradicted him. Allah blocking the hand, but if not for that, you trust Eidach. So you see in the Mishnah that Eidach is believed even to allow the woman to do Yibam, not just to get married to without any Yibam. A woman who has children, may her husband have children, but even in this case of Yibam, you don't say that she might know him and she wants him and she's not thinking straight. You see that Eidach is now. Others have a little different version of the same thing. Allah Tiboyla. She said it's not a question. Of course he's believed. Even a woman is believed by herself without any aid. If a woman's believed on her own to say that her husband died, then she should believe him. So surely she's is believed. And how do I know that? We didn't have it yet. But later on it says on the side, $114. Our parents all spoke about the Eirechad, that the Eirechad came. But later on it says that even the woman herself is believed. She came on her own, she has no testimony at all, and she says, I know that my husband died. So the halacha is that she could get married to anybody, and also even if there's a yavam, she could do yivam. She says that she comes back and says, I went with my husband overseas, he died, I have no testimony, I'm telling you he died, and she has a brother-in-law, she's supposed to do yivam. So it says openly that she's believed even on her own. If she's believed on her own without aid, then surely an aid is believed. He did very well, so that's not a question. So this whole Gemara said, we spoke about from here, from the question, the question was if aid is enough to permit a woman to marry the brother-in-law with Yibum. The answer is yes. Either it's a Mishnah that we had over here by Eida, we put in the Mishnah by us, that's talking about leaving with Eida, or it goes to the Mishnah and $50 that says even a woman is leaving on her own without any Eidas to marry the Yibum. So surely an Eida is being also. So now the Gemara goes on, he did very love the Mishri Yibum. So we'll stop here, but my next Gemara is going to be, does an Eida enough to allow a Yibum, which means a person that we know that she's supposed to do Yibum, and now he says that she's allowed to marry to the shul. Tonight we spoke about that the testimony was the husband died and she should marry the Yibum. And the next thing is going to be, if you buy love, maybe we should highlight it tomorrow.
When they asked about it, when they asked.
The question that should be, if she says, don't ask the question if the Eid Echad is believed to permit her to marry the Yibum. That's not a question, it's a mission. The question that you can ask is if the Eid Echad's testimony is enough to allow the woman who has a brother-in-law to marry out, not to marry the Yibum, to marry out, which would be the case. Like we'll see that they say that she doesn't have to do Yibum because who died first? The husband died first before the son, so there's no Yibum. And she can go marry out. You can go to Yibum right here, and maybe she has to do Yibum. No, she's a Yibum. The Eid Echad could come and say that she's not over shit. So that's going to be tomorrow's question. If we will trust the Eid Echad to allow a Yibum to marry the shit. So we'll stop here. And so far the Gemara said that Eid Echad is surely believed to allow the woman to marry the Yibum. Everybody. Thank you.